Hey everyone, Thomas from masteringexplained.com here. Have you ever wondered why so many mastering engineers still have that old Waves L2 Ultramaximizer in their racks? If you do a quick image search, you will see that it's everywhere. And remember that this is a more than 20 years old digital peak limiter. There must be better options available nowadays, right? And why are they using the hardware and not the plugin? In this video, we're going to discuss why this ancient digital limiter is still relevant, how to use it, why the hardware version is better than the plugin, and how to get the plugin to sound exactly like the hardware. Let's go! I've been working as a mastering engineer for more than 20 years now, and when I started out, the Waves L2 Ultramaximizer was fairly new, and it was one of the best digital limiters available back then. And that was not because it was very good, but because the competition was almost non-existent. And truth be told, it has never been a very good peak limiter. Most of the time, it flattens everything, it buries the snare drum, and it puts a blanket over the mix, especially if you push it more than a couple of dBs. And pretty much anything on the market nowadays is way better than the L2. But it has one great feature, and maybe more than one, but this is the thing that I'm using it for. Because when you use it for about 1.5 dBs of gain, then the mid frequencies will get pushed forward in a very nice way. It will add a bit of grain and texture and make the mids sound more focused and present. And sometimes that's just what the mix needs. And the trick here is to place the L2 after your main limiter and add the final 1.5 dBs of gain using the L2. And to do this, you first back off 1.5 dBs in your main limiter, and then you set the ceiling or headroom to 0 so that you let the peaks go all the way up to 0 dBFS. Then you add the L2 and you lower the threshold to -1.5 dBs. You disable the arc button and set the release to around 0.15. Also, you set the ceiling to whatever headroom you want. It's usually -0.5 dB or -1 dB. You can leave the IDR section at the default settings. And that's the trick. You just let the L2 take care of the final 1.5 dBs of gain. The L2 will tend to soften the highest highs and reduce the lowest lows, and it will add a bit of grit to the mids. And depending on the material, it will either sound good or it will sound too crunchy. If it sounds more present and engaging, then it's good. It's a really useful trick for adding that final touch of character and texture to a master. Now, what about the hardware? Why do mastering engineers keep the hardware around instead of just using the plugin like normal people? Well, the biggest difference between the hardware and the plugin is that the hardware has built-in AD and DA converters. But I doubt that any mastering engineer today would use those instead of just using the digital input and output. And this is not the reason anyway. The other difference, and the main reason for using the hardware instead of the plugin, is the link button. This will let you run the L2 as two separate mono limiters instead of a linked stereo limiter. And this will actually make the limiter sound wider and more engaging when using it in the way that I've described in this video. But the plugin version cannot be unlinked. It's always in linked stereo mode. And I have no idea why Waves have chose to do it like this, but that's what we have to work with. Other than that, the plugin and the hardware have identical algorithms and they sound exactly the same. So what we need to do is to use two instances instead of one. We can add two mono instances, one for the left channel and one for the right channel, and then we use the same settings on both. And make sure that the first instance only works on the left channel and that the second only works on the right channel. In Reaper you can set the inputs and outputs in the plugin pin connector window. And now you have a setup that will sound identical to using the hardware. So I hope you found this useful. Let us know in the comments if this helped you in any way, and please share if you have any other tricks that you can do with the Waves L2. Also, remember to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos from us. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.